Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website, podcast, and YouTube channel. If you missed the study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed. Be sure to check out the information posted in the chat throughout the meeting. Are there any announcements for the greater good of AA and/or this group?
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful, recovered alcoholic. Glad to have all of you with us, and welcome to anyone new. Yep, couple of announcements. The sponsorship workshop that we did last month is going to be posted to our YouTube channel later. And the other thing is we have a district business meeting that happens next Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. If you want the information, I'll be happy to send it to you for District 40. We have a Trusted Servants meeting at 5 p.m. Central Time for all of the trusted servants of this group to work on the agenda for our upcoming group conscience, which I believe will be next Monday night. And on the 22nd, and Trish can correct me if I'm wrong on that, and then on Sunday the 22nd, we will be having again in the district business meeting room, we will be having a pre-conference report from our delegate Heather L. So if you want to know what's coming up at the General Service Conference, please come join us.
Any other announcements? No? Okay. Tonight's recap will be on page 52 to 54. That will be read by Jim F. And tonight's study will be on page 54 to 55, read by Terry B. Go ahead, Terry.
Please take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. We take our big book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we'll take a 3-minute meditation, followed by the fog light prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Be mindful of background noise when unmuted. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it on Zoom. And stay muted during others' shares. We will call on raised hands in order.
From the forward to the first edition, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered, is the main purpose of this book. For the meditation, focus on breath and posture. Breathe in God, breathe out self. Take this time to reconnect with God and release the day. And Jamie, bring those monks in. And here's your fog light prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen. And may we have our, I'm sorry, Terry, I stole it from you. Go for it.
Let's have our secretary's report.
Steph, you're still muted. There.
Okay. Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I'm your recovered alcoholic secretary. I've asked Nancy to read the recovered statement. We read this notice to explain why many people in this group identify as recovered rather than recovering, and what it exactly means to be a recovered alcoholic. Take it away, Nancy.
Nancy, you're muted.
There we go. Nancy, alcoholic, recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism, recovered, but not cured. That presents a conflict with some alcoholics. If we are cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. But we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than his body, page 23. We are now saying where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you all for joining us tonight. We meet every Tuesday starting at 5:30 p.m. Central Time with the Gerbil Fellowship Cage, where we chatter for an hour before the start of the meeting. Feel free to bring side dishes to share with the buzzards. Our Big Book study starts promptly at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and we ask that you be courteous and ready to begin at the sound of the foghorn. We take our Big Book study seriously. Because of this, chat will be disabled during the study. In the 1940s, when the only elements to sobriety were God, a Big Book, and one recovered alcoholic working with an untreated alcoholic, the success rate was as follows. From the foreword to the second edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, page XX. Of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapsed. And the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, showed improvement. Can we have a show of hands of people joining us for the first time? Do we have anybody?
We do have a few.
Welcome. Welcome, Joe A., Deborah.
Welcome.
And anybody else that has never been here? Welcome, Linda. Or is it a heart from Linda? That was okay, well, welcome. Okay, and then the recovered alcoholics. Raise your hands, please. These are your potential sponsors. And is anyone celebrating a milestone this week?
We have two.
Uh-oh.
First is Jim. Let me get to screen share. With 24 years. Congratulations, Jim.
Wow, Jim, way to go.
And then we have Nancy, as soon as I can get to it, with 28 years.
Woo-hoo. Congratulations, both of you.
Absolutely. If you should require a Big Book of your own, we have large print editions available that can be sent to you by buzzard mail. Delivery time questionable. Please remember to practice our 7th tradition by donating to the group address, Venmo, or PayPal posted in chat and on the screen. Our suggestion is to purchase a big book and take an untreated alcoholic through the program of recovery. Please visit our website posted in chat. Thank you, and Lord willing, I will see you next week.
Thank you, Stephanie. From There Is a Solution. We have discovered a common solution, a way out which we can absolutely agree. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. If you're not required to identify yourself, and your anonymity, just like ours, will always be protected. Our group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have a desire to stop drinking for good and all. We also believe that every AA member is a potential sponsor, and we encourage each of us to take that responsibility to heart.
Last week we reviewed Tradition 7. Tonight we will read Tradition 8. You can find this on page 562. Come on in, Jamie.
Hang on just a second. I was busy moving screens. Good evening, family. There's my granddaughter. Hi, Isla. Good evening, family. My name is Jamie. Very grateful, recovered alcoholic, and very grateful that all of you are here tonight. Give me 1 second. Something happened with my page here. My apologies. I have absolutely no idea what went on. Oh, that's because I'm still in screen share. That makes sense. My apologies, folks. It's one of those days. All right. Anyways, stop screen share. There we go. So, Tradition 8. Goodness gracious, I can't see any of you. That's okay. Tradition 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. That's our short form. Our long form gets a little more technical. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional. We define professionalism as occupation of counseling alcoholics for fees or higher. But we may employ alcoholics where they are going to perform those services which might otherwise have to engage non-alcoholics. Such special services may be well recompensed, but our usual AA 12-step work is never to be paid for. So that is pretty significant, folks. We, in Alcoholics Anonymous, I'll give you an example. Our general service office is has lots of employees in it in New York, and there are people who, for example, each department has a manager in those departments, and while they have the spirit of rotation, if you call the CPC desk or the public information desk or any one of the 14 committees or so that we have in Alcoholics Anonymous, the managers do get paid. Everybody else is pretty much a volunteer, and they rotate those positions, and you might serve 2 years in this position and then go to a different department and learn about it as well. We also have secretaries. We have every year for our General Service Conference, which is going to happen in April in New York, there is someone who gets paid to make flight arrangements, hotel arrangements, and so on and so forth, because there's going to be 113 trusted servants between our delegates and our trustees and so on that come in to be part of that General Service Conference. So that's what it's referring to as those special workers that they get that recompense for. But RAA work. I have heard of people who sponsor, for example, and actually charge people for sponsorship. And you'll hear a lot of things about sober coaches and so on and so forth. Sober coaching is an actual profession, but as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't do any of that. I am blessed to pass on the experience that I have in Alcoholics Anonymous to others, and I spend many, many hours a week working with others. And the only thing that I ask of anybody is, if you can't make our appointment, let me know so I can move on to someone else. I would never in my wildest dreams ever imagine charging somebody to give to them what has been so freely given to me. So that's what I got for you on Tradition 8 tonight, and so glad you are all here.
Thank you, Jamie. Now we move to the segment of That Ain't in the Book. Sometimes we hear things in meetings that don't align with what the Big Book says. The topic for tonight is, this is a selfish program. Let's hear what the Big Book has to say about that. And Larry, can you please read from page 62, paragraph 2?
I'm Larry and I'm an alcoholic. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay. Be sure to use your pens, highlighters, and rulers as we study. We use the Joe and Charlie Crusty Clip Study Guide to stay focused and consistent. After reading tonight's study, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. Answers are one sentence in order, taken directly from the text. We read the material once, then dissect it through questions and answers. This helps us understand and apply the content clearly.
After the study, we open the meeting for comments based on the pages just read. Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If a share drifts into something better handled with a sponsor, we'll kindly point you that way.
Bill W. wrote, sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps is the sole purpose of any AA group.
Before we begin the recap, we'll need 5 or 6 volunteers to read answers. All right, we've got some hands up, and we'll go ahead and we'll start tonight's recap, read by Jim F. That will be on page 52, and we'll go to 54.
Good evening, everyone. Jim F., an alcoholic. The Wright brothers' almost childish faith that they could build a machine which would fly was the mainspring of their accomplishment. Without that, nothing could have happened. We agnostics and atheists were sticking to the idea that self-sufficiency would solve our problems. When others showed us that God's sufficiency worked with them, we began to feel like those who had insisted the rights would never fly. Logic is great stuff. We liked it. We still like it. It is not by chance we were given the power to reason, to examine the evidence of our senses, and to draw conclusions. That is one of man's magnificent attributes. We, agnostically inclined, would not feel satisfied with a proposal which does not lend itself to reasonable approach and interpretation. Hence, we are at pains to tell why we think that our present fate is reasonable, why we think it more sane and logical to believe than not to believe, Why we say our former thinking was soft and mushy when we threw up our hands in doubt and said, "We don't know." When we became alcoholics, crushed by a self-imposed crisis we could not postpone or evade, we had to fearlessly face the proposition that either God is everything or else he is nothing. God either is or he isn't. What was our choice to be? Arrived at this point, we were squarely confronted with the question of faith. We couldn't duck the issue. Some of us had already walked far over the bridge of reason toward the desired shore of faith. The outlines and the promise of the new land had brought luster to tired eyes and fresh courage to flagging spirits. Friendly hands and stretched out in welcome, we were grateful that reason had brought us so far. But somehow we couldn't quite step ashore. Perhaps we had been leaning too heavily on reason that last mile, and we did not like to lose our support. That was natural, but let us think a little more closely. Without knowing it, we had not been brought to where we stood by a certain kind of, had we not been brought to where we stood by a certain kind of faith. For did we not believe in our own reasoning? Did we not have confidence in our ability to think? What was that but a sort of faith? Yes, we had been faithful, abjectly faithful to the God of reason. So in one way or another, we discovered that faith had been involved all the time. Pass.
Thank you, Jim. And Terry B. You ready for tonight's study? Page 54.
Hi everyone, I'm Terry and I'm a grateful alcoholic. We found too that we had been worshipers. What a state of mental goose flesh that used to bring on. We had not variously worshipped people, sentiment, things, money, and ourselves. And then, with a better motive, had we not worshipfully beheld the sunset, the sea, or a flower? Who of us had not loved something or somebody? How much did these feelings, these loves, these worships have to do with pure reason? Little or nothing, we saw at last. Were not these things the tissue out of which our lives were constructed? Did not these feelings, after all, determine the course of our existence? It was impossible to say we had no capacity for faith, or love, or worship. In one form or another, we had been living by faith and little else. Imagine life without faith. Were nothing left but pure reason, it wouldn't be life. But we believed in life. Of course we did. We could not prove life in the sense that you can prove a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. Yet, there it was. Could we still say the whole thing was nothing but a mass of electrons, created out of nothing, meaning nothing, whirling onto a destiny of nothingness? Of course we couldn't. The electrons themselves seemed more intelligent than that. At least, so the chemist said. Hence, we saw that reason isn't everything. Neither is reason, as most of us use it, entirely dependable, though it emanate from our best minds. What about people who proved that man could never fly? Yet we had been seeing another kind of flight, a spiritual liberation from this world. People who rose above their problems. They said God made these things possible, and we only smiled. We had seen spiritual release, but liked to tell ourselves it wasn't true. Actually, we were fooling ourselves, for deep down in every man, woman, and child is a fundamental idea of God. It may be obscured by calamity, by pomp, by worship of other things, but in some form or other it is there. For faith in a power greater than ourselves, and miraculous demonstrations of that power in human lives, are facts as old as man himself. We finally saw that faith in some kind of God was a part of our makeup, just as much as the feeling we have for a friend. Sometimes we had to search fearlessly, but he was there. He was as much a fact as we were. we found the great reality deep down within us. In the last analysis, it is only there that he may be found. It was so with us. We can only clear the ground a bit. Her testimony helps sweep away prejudice, enables you to think honestly, encourages you to search diligently within yourself, and, if you wish, you can join us on the broad highway. With this attitude, you cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. Thank you.
Thank you for the prompt, and thank you for readers. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answer readers. Just remember to speak clearly, follow the text sentence by sentence, and if you lose your place, you can either pass or allow the question reader to guide you. And I should have gotten your names better, but I think I'll be fast. So far, my batting order, I've got Linda, Nancy, Kenny, Jim F, and Joe A. Am I missing anybody? No. All right, and I do apologize if you can hear anybody in the background at my house, but I'm hoping that you cannot. All right, starting up at the page 54, Miss Linda, what was the next thing we found?
We found too that we had been worshipers.
Thank you. And Nancy, how did that affect us?
What a state of mental distress that used to bring on.
Thank you. And Kenny, what had we worshipped?
Had we not variously worship people, sentiment, things, money, and ourselves?
Thank you. And Jim F., what feeling did we sometimes feel when we observed some of God's handiwork?
And then, with a better motive, had we not worshipfully beheld the sunset, the sea, or a flower?
Thank you. And Joe A., what was the next thing we learned?
Who of us had not loved something or somebody? Do I continue?
Yes, perfect. Nope, that's it. You just do one sentence. Awesome. And Linda, what proved to be more powerful than our power of reasoning? Two sentences, please.
Sure. How much did these feelings, these loves, these worships have to do with pure reason? Little or nothing?
We saw at last.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's a comma. It may have looked like a period.
We saw at last.
I have a
Thank
comment.
you.
Coming in with a comment. When you found yourself in trouble based on decisions you made, were those decisions based on good judgment or emotions?
Thank you. And Nancy, on what were our lives constructed?
Why not these things that teach you out of which our lives were constructed?
Thank you. And Kenny, did acting on our feelings really shape our existence?
Did not these feelings, after all, determine the course of our existence?
Thank you. And Jim, after reviewing the truth, what could we not say?
It was impossible to say we had no capacity for faith or love or worship.
Thank you. And Joe, on what had we and do we live by?
In one form of another, we had been living by faith and little else.
Perfect, thank you. And then back to Linda. This will actually be 2 sentences. You're the 2-sentence person tonight. What would life be without faith?
Imagine life without faith, where nothing left but pure reason. It wouldn't be life.
Yes, thank you. And Nancy, do we believe in life?
But we believed in life. Of course we did.
Excellent. And Kenny, can we prove life in a purely scientific manner?
We cannot prove life in the sense that you can prove a straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. Yet, there it is. I mean, there it was.
Oh, that's all, Kenny. Thank you. And Jim, can we say the details of our universe mean nothing? Can you read the entire rest of the paragraph, please?
Could we still say the whole thing was nothing but a mass of electrons created out of nothing, meaning nothing, whirling on to a destiny of nothingness? Of course we couldn't. The electrons themselves seem more intelligent than that. At least, so the chemist said.
Thank you. And Joe, so is our reasoning the last word?
Hence we saw that reason isn't everything.
Yes. And Linda, how dependable is reasoning, the way we use it?
Neither is reason, as most of us use it, entirely dependable, though it emanate. Thank you. From our best minds.
Excellent. And Nancy, how reliable was the best reasoning regarding man's ability to fly?
What about people who proved that a man could never fly?
Right. And Kenny, what kind of flight did we see in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous?
Yet we have been seeing another kind of flight, a spiritual liberation from this world. People who rose above their problems.
Right, thank you. And Jim, this is a 2-part question, but still 1 sentence. What did they say made it possible? And did we feel a little pity for the poor misguided souls?
They said, God made these things possible, and we only smiled.
Right. And Joe, what did our sense of reasoning tell us?
We had seen spiritual release, but like to tell ourselves it wasn't true.
And Linda, why were we fooling ourselves?
Actually, we were fooling ourselves, for deep down, every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God.
Right? And Nancy, how is that really hidden sometimes?
It may be obscured by calamity, by pomp, by worship of other things, but in some form or other, it is there.
Yes. And Kenny, what are the real facts, which are as old as the history of mankind?
For faith and a power greater than ourselves, and miraculous demonstration of that power in the human life are facts as old as man himself.
Right. And Jim, what do we finally come to see?
We finally saw that faith in some kind of God was a part of our makeup, just as much as the feeling we have for a friend.
And Joe, must we search for him?
Sometimes we had to search fearlessly, but he was there.
Thank you. And Linda, what is as much a fact as we are?
He was as much a fact as we were.
Thank you. And Nancy, where in the human life may he be found?
We found the great reality deep down within us. Yep.
Okay. I'm coming in with another comment. Is it possible that God knew we wouldn't know where to look for him, so he removed the need to search?
That was good. And Kenny, where is the only place we may come to know God? 2 sentences, please.
In the last analysis, it is only there that he may be found. It was so with us.
Thank you. And Jim, we can only do a bit of what?
We can only clear the ground a bit.
Right. And Joe, if you can believe our stories, you would be able to do what?
If our testimony helps sweep away any prejudice, enables you to think honestly, encourages you to search diligently within yourself, then if you wish, you can join us on the broad highway.
Thank you. And Linda, last question. 2 sentences. What promise comes with this attitude?
With this attitude, you cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you.
Yay! Thank you, readers. And this is the part where we will open up for sharing. If you have any experience with the pages read tonight, please do share. Please stay on topic and mindful of your time. You'll see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. Absence of profanity offends no one. All right, we are now open for comments, questions, observations, spiritual experiences based on what was just read. And I have no hands. Come on. I'm going to start going around with smiles. Joe, thank you. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm an addict and alcoholic. Just making sure my door is shut. This is one of my favorite chapters, just coming from being an agnostic myself, and honestly quite more so on the atheist side of it. I think it was really eye-opening to know that, like, God really is whatever it is, there is no necessarily, answer of, this is God. It's just God either is or isn't. And I think, there's so many topics perhaps today, so I don't know if, do we have to stick to just this, or can we also talk on Tradition 8, or is it just this?
Anything that you heard tonight, you could even comment on it. That ain't in the book if you wanted to.
Beautiful. I just wanted to say, as far as, Tradition 8 goes, because I started sponsoring recently, and I thought it was really cool, to go through the traditions and to really realize that, this is a program that is so freely given to so many of us. And I think it's funny that there would be anyone who maybe would want to, sponsor and charge. I get that, there's different coaches and all of that, and I put no judgment towards anyone who, might be struggling financially or whatever, for whatever reason, because you know what, I don't know, only God knows. But, I know for myself, being a sponsor is not only such a gift to that person, it's a gift to me. I get to relearn the steps. I get to go through it step by step. I get to remember, what it was like. And without that remembering of, what I was like, why I'm here, then why am I here? Then I'm going to go out just as easily as my sponsee would. I don't really have much to say. I just saw that no one was raising their hand, so I wanted to get out there. But I think this is such a beautiful chapter. I think that, God is infinite. And so for us, it's just important to like decide what that God is for us. And other than that, like, you know, no one else needs to say in that other than you, your higher power, and your sponsor, and like all the other people in your life in this beautiful book. So thank you all for letting me be of service tonight and for sharing.
Joe, welcome, and thank you so much for kicking us off. All right, did I see Linda next?
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. You know, I like we agnostics because I was never an atheist or an agnostic. And I had a sponsor that encouraged me to pray. She asked me if I believed in God, and I was very ashamed. I couldn't even say God's name. You know, I can't pray. She said, you can pray. She said, just talk to God like you're talking to me, a conversation. She said, but talk to God. She said, trust me. You can talk to God. She didn't say, well, you know, God forgives us and gives us second and third and 20 and, you know, a million chances. But she said, just go to God. And I did. And I've heard people in the room share about how they have this struggle with God, the whole concept of God. And I told one girl, I said, you know what? I said, you don't have to believe in my God. I said, get a God of your understanding. But just understand there is a power greater than yourself. And that power can restore you to sanity. You know, I quoted the second step to her. I told her, I said, you know, I said, there's a power greater, much bigger than you, much bigger than your problems that created the universe. I said, you just don't wake up every morning on your own. You know, I said, well, I choose to call it God. I said, my God wakes me up and puts me to sleep. I said, I don't know who wakes you up and puts you to sleep. You know, I told her, I said, think about certain things that you've been through, the most horrific things that you've been through in your drinking and your drugging career, and how you came out with no scratches. Did you think that was by chance? You know, I let her know. I said, do you think it was by chance? I said, no, that was God. I said, and I told her, I said, don't leave, don't relapse, because there's so many people that are waiting for you to sponsor them. Speaking of sponsorship, I told her that, and I said, you know, there's friends and people you haven't met yet. I said, and they're all lined up, and God has them all waiting for you. I said, so don't mess up this chance, don't mess up this opportunity. I said, you can turn your life around. You know, I had to tell her that because I had so much shame, and she had shame too, but she just struggled with the whole concept of God. I didn't judge her. I could not judge her. I don't know how she was raised. It might have been the concept of God in her household. Maybe there wasn't. You know, but that's her. Everyone comes, we all come in from different paths. So I can't judge anyone. But I do like this because it gave me a more understanding about people that do have this struggle with God. But I told her, I said, listen, I said, just come just one day at a time, stay sober. I said, and just believe that there's a power greater than you. You know, and I told her, I said, stop trying to do your self-will. Stop trying to do your self-will. I said, and you know, I told her, I said, I know that you don't call it God and you don't trust in this and that. I said, but just for once, I said, understand that you can get sober. And I told her, I said, I believe you can. I have faith in you that you can. You know, and that sort of opened up her eyes. And other people, you know, helped her in the rooms. And then it started she started to, after a while, and after a year, she's been here a long time now, she started to get her own concept of God. And then she understood there is a God. I don't know what she calls, she may not say God, you know, she may say spirit, but she knows now that there's a power greater than herself. And it had to be shown to her through the rooms and the people loving her and caring for her and doing for her unconditionally and accepting her and not rejecting her every time she relapsed. So, you know, one person that I know for a fact they were atheists and they were going through an operation. They were scared. They were scared. And I told, I said, you know what? I said, I know you don't believe in God. I said, but for today, I said, I'll let you borrow my God. I said, I'll give you some faith. I'll let you borrow my faith and I'll let you borrow my God. I said, but believe me, everything's going to be all right. And the person told me, they said, thank you so much. You know, we can get humble. We can get humble and all of a sudden get a concept of God. you know, and out of nowhere, I don't know why I even said that to her, because she is an atheist. But she told me thank you. You know, for that moment, she had some humility, and I don't know, maybe she got her own concept of God, whatever way she understood it. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Linda and Jim. Come on in.
Hey, good evening, everyone, fellow travelers. What a great reading. I love this chapter too. And the thing I was confronted by was the fact that I was so codependent that whatever somebody else believed, I thought it was more important than what I believed. So I would be doing what somebody said, but inside of me, I wanted to do something else or some other type of spirituality. And I had always had that fear of going to hell. And I don't believe that that's reality for me now. And finding that great reality deep down within me, I've been around for a while, and it's taken me a long time to express my spiritual beliefs in a way that is what's inside me and what I feel from inside me. Rather than coming from on high or from my mother or father or from some guy that I asked for spiritual help from when I was in my 20s. And he had, didn't like something I was doing and I had to change it and this and that. Anyhow, there is this great reality, and it is so magnificent. And what's happened to me is lately I've been listening to a lot of Hindu songs. I'm not a Hindu, but I've been listening to these songs. I don't even know what they're singing, but I know one song or something is that, about love and love being present in us all and love being present in our homes and love being present in our relationships. And isn't that what everybody wants? A kind and loving household, a kind and loving relationship with their spouse and their children. And when I search deep within myself, I find these things and I find that source that allows me to swallow my pride, own up to my mistakes, acknowledge them, make amends, and let it go. Let it go. I don't have to be perfect today. And that in itself is such a blessing. Thanks for being here. Good to be with you all. And happy birthday, Nancy. I didn't get a chance to say that to you. I'm saying it now. Congratulations on 28 years.
Thank you, Jim. Very well said. And happy birthday to you. And I cannot tell, is that no hands? Oh, my word. I think Gandalf has his hand up. I see him smiling, so it must be.
That's not a smile.
Oh, Michelle. Okay. Gandalf, you come in, and then Michelle will come in after.
Happy birthday, Jim.
All right, I guess that. Yeah, go right ahead, Michelle. Come on in.
Hello, my name is Michelle, and I am an alcoholic. And I made it back to this group here. I love you guys. You guys are great. And to be here, this chapter to the Agnostics is like perfect. I truly believe that God brings you to where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to hear what you're supposed to hear that day, see what you're supposed to see that day. And man, let me tell you, my aunt from across the country called today, and she was telling a story about how she had a voice in her head the other day that told her that she had to go to Michigan because we have family in Michigan. And And she said, but I don't want to go to Michigan. And that voice said, you're going to Michigan. Okay. So she she was going to Michigan, and then that's when they had that tornado. And the tornado just happened to be right in the city where her daughter and son-in-law and grandson live. And I mean, there was total devastation over there. But their house was not touched. And the more she, oh, and then she also said driving from Kentucky to Michigan, and she brought her dog. And before she left, she said, God, please watch over us, and let us get to Michigan safely. And she said she was able to drive 80 to 90 miles an hour, which is not her because she's in her 70s. But God told her to go to Michigan, so she's going to Michigan as quickly as she could. She said there was not a car around her. She never got stopped. Nothing ever happened. It was just like the road was just wide open to her to go from Kentucky to Michigan. And I was like, wow. And I said, you know what? But I believed that. And I believed everything that she said. I really did. I truly felt it. And I'm not a religious person, so to speak. I am a spiritual person, and I call my God the Creator. And for simplicity, I'll call him God, just to make it easier for other people. But yeah, boy, it took me a year and a half after starting this program to actually get a God of my understanding. I didn't think that I was God, but I just didn't. I didn't know what to believe in. I didn't know what to trust in. But I mean, I know now that there's a spirit in the sky. There's God. There's whatever you want to call your higher power. It's definitely there. So and here we are. I haven't been to this meeting in probably over a week or so. Here we are. I'm at this meeting. We're talking about this. So, if that doesn't open my eyes, nothing else will. All right. Thank you for letting me share that. I was actually told to share that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. And Trish.
Thanks, Shana. Hi, everybody. I'm Trish. I'm an alcoholic. And like so many, I was hard-nosed, hardcore agnostic when I came in here. I wanted to be an atheist because I didn't want to believe in God because I did not like the God that I was told to believe in as a child. But as a result of coming into these rooms and taking these steps and starting to live this program, and finding the God of my understanding, I've come back to a form of that God who I knew as a child, but a much gentler, much kinder, more loving. I started being able to believe in God when I started seeing things in life, and they just lined up too well. And they said God made these things possible, and we only smiled. It's like, yeah, whatever. But then I started seeing it and watching it. And some things just lined up too well to be anything but some sort of God or some sort of spiritual being. I had seen it, but I kept trying to tell myself, like the book said, I kept trying to tell myself it wasn't true. But then I did find that faith in a power greater than myself and started seeing the miracles of God in my life. Little things, big things. I can see God now in anything, in the giggles of the students at school, the flowers growing in the snow. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thunderbolt. I can find God in the simple things and in the quiet things. But the joy today is I know that God is there. I'm not denying that God's there, and I'm looking for him and I'm seeing him. And, you know, that didn't happen when I first came in because I didn't want anything to do with him. But then all of a sudden, as I'm coming, I'm realizing that there was a faith in me. I was denying it, but there was a faith in me. And slowly I was able to come into the belief of a spiritual being and as God, who was directing me, who just wanted the best things for me. And all I have to do is wake up each day and ask for that direction and help. And I am going to share the time, so thanks.
Thank you, Miss Trish. Very well said. And I think is Larry.
Hey, I'm Larry, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. For a lot of my adult alcoholic life and even my sober adult life, I thought that God did not love me anymore. I had done too much for God to love me anymore, and this God thing wasn't going to work for me, and so it was very difficult for me to get a higher power that really was working. I knew what I believed, but I had stepped over the bounds of getting any solution. But now today, I have a relationship with God through Emmanuel, his son, and a real relationship. But it was not easy. It was a road that I had to take. And it's through Alcoholics Anonymous and through people in these rooms that I got here. I got what I have today, and I'm thankful for that. I have sponsored people, and over the last few years, I think sometimes I think it's almost comical. Some people want to shock you, with some of their higher powers. I've had one person want to say, well, can I have this table as my higher power? And I just look at them. I said, yeah, well, if you want this table to be your higher power, then if you think that this table has the power to keep you sober, then you can have this table as your higher power. Does this table have the power to keep you sober? I just have to ask them the questions. I can't tell them what higher power to choose, but I ask them the question: do you think this table has the power to keep you sober? And they have to come to the conclusion, and they usually come to the right conclusion. And I had one guy one time said, the devil's my higher power. Can Satan be my higher power? And I said, well, if you think that Satan wants to see you sober, then you can have Satan as your higher power. Do you think Satan wants you sober? And I said, you answer that question, and it's your choice. You choose. It's your higher power. And he thought about it for a while, a few days, and he comes back with his answer. So, this is a program that everyone has to come up with a higher power, and it has to be a power greater than themselves to keep them sober. had to take my route to find God that I have now in the relationships. I had to go through the process where I have what I have today. Nobody could give me what I have. I had to find it the way I had to find it. And I'm so grateful for this program, for the people in this program that allowed me to have the liberty to experience and find what I have today. That's all I've got.
Very nice. Thank you, Larry. Okay, Gandalf.
Hey, my hand is up this time.
Now it's up. I like it.
Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gandalf the Red Pickle, and I am a very grateful, recovered, but not cured alcoholic. You know, it's really funny that we are conditioned from the time we're born to have faith. You know, we had faith that mom was going to feed us. We had to have faith, you know, that the sun would always come up tomorrow. And that it would always shine. You know, those are different kinds of higher powers, but in our spirituality and stuff, you know, we close our eyes to all of that stuff. And what we feel in our hearts, that, you know, a higher power can restore us to sanity. I didn't know what insanity was until I found out what sanity was. Whenever I was finally free from all the cravings from drinking, from the desire to go out, you know, that I was actually able to face myself in a mirror, that I actually loved myself, you know. And it's having a faith, you know, that, you know, and hope that life can get better. And it does. Trust me, it does. And I'm so grateful that I did, you know, came into these rooms and stuff. I always had, you know, whenever I was drinking, in my drinking days and stuff, you know, everybody says, oh, everybody's got to have something to believe in. I says, well, I think I believe I'll have another beer. Ordering, you know, and that's how little faith I had. I didn't know what Alcoholics Anonymous was until I started reading, started getting interested in, you know, this new life, this new way of living. And I'll tell you, man, it has just made one heck of a difference in even the way that I think about my higher power, because I was born into a Baptist church. And guess what? All through school and stuff, I went to Sunday school. I went to worship on Sundays. And I believed in that big curly-haired, white-haired, bearded guy in the sky. But I didn't really believe in it because I didn't have a relationship with him. But whenever I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, because my God sent me to Alcoholics Anonymous, and my Alcoholics Anonymous sent me back to God. Because I can't really have one without the other. And today, my relationship with my higher power has evolved over the years to this wonderful, wonderful thing and stuff that I have. You know, I'm so grateful for all the little things that I get to see and experience in my life. And I still have faith that the sun will come up tomorrow and it'll still shine and bring warmth and beautiful flowers and beautiful friendships. My name's Gandalf Donald, aka, I'm still an alcoholic. So God bless you guys.
Thank you, Donald.
Oh, and welcome
then,
to all the newcomers.
Yay! And William. Did we send you the thingy?
Yes, I got. Thank you so much, Shane.
You muted, William.
Thank you, Shane.
I'm sorry. There you go.
It's okay. Come on, mute. I was in trance, and my name is William Michael. I was in trance and was going to listen, but listen to you, Shane. I'm going to share. Anyhow, this piece of literature is, for me, was the most important literature in the whole thing, And what I like about it is all inclusive, never exclusive, and it meets you right where you're at. If you're agnostic, atheist, believer, non-believer, it meets you right where you are, and that's what it did for me, because I was brought up in a Southern Baptist church, and I drank over this, man. They told me, said, you do such a thing, God is going to, you going to hell, you going to burn in fire, the devil fit. And I was really afraid of that, you know what I mean? And when I was drinking, I used to say stuff like this, I'd take a drink and then if sexually I am going to hell anyway, I might as well go with a blaze of fire on my butt. And I would just fall on the other side of the fence, man. So that divide between that and there, and plus I was seeing my family members, and I was judging them. To tell you the truth, I was judging them. They would go to church on Sunday, they'll party like crazy on a Saturday and Friday night, and they'd be in the church Sunday. And I just couldn't understand that, So I brought up a lot of fear in God, So when I was drinking, and I would tell God what I want God to do for me. God, give me $50,000 so I can get out of debt, and I'll do this. And I said that so many times, I just knew I was going to get struck by lightning. I began to get afraid to say it, But see, I found myself right in this chapter, because I could be able to see my behavior, because they talk about the behavior, the action you take whenever you're doing these things. So I began to see my behavior now. I could have been a behavior, sometime a agnostic, sometime a believer. Whenever I wanted money, when I wanted something, I was a believer, and when I didn't, So I had all these characteristic behavior that I was able to see in this chapter, And we used to have this one guy. He was an old timer, man, and being a Southern Baptist, it sort of brought up some emotional stuff in me when he would say, he said, my name is John. He did. My name is John. I'm an agnostic. And he used to say it's so nasty, man. But I began to watch his behavior, man. He got guys with 50 years sober, got a lot of people sober. He was in the institution doing stuff, but his behavior wasn't as he talked and stuff. So I watched people behaving instead of what they say and stuff. And I learned that from him, But as I stayed here, I began to learn my behavior, And those old timers, they used to say something like this. They were so what they call suave with the stuff that they said. They say it's an inside job, So they let me know all that stuff I was trying to fill that dark hole on the outside. It was something inside me I have to do. And then they talked about that in this chapter, And they was talking about the emotional stuff that we throw on top of the God inside of us, So I couldn't reach it. So it was slowly like peeling of an onion for me, It didn't come out. I wish it was like Kool-Aid, pre-sweetened Kool-Aid. You put it in a ball, you shake it up, and you drink it and you out of here, It wasn't like that. It was a slow thing to me because alcohol that did damage to me, and I still believe in alcohol. I still believe if I put my money in that hole, they're gonna give me back what I was put my money in the hole for, But for some reason, when it came to God, you know what I mean, I was afraid. I had a lot of fear, a lot of pride, a lot of stuff that kept me from doing this. But as I stayed here, I seen that God met me right where I was at and began to peel that onion and began to get me more God conscious and stuff, program conscious, and became God conscious, and sort of control my behavior now. And I don't always get away with it. I'm not perfect, but I do. One thing that I've done for the last 24 that I've been here, I haven't seen it to drink over whatever happened in my life. You know what I me. So that give me a chance a day at a time just sort of to work on my spirit, And they told me, said, spiritual, they were so what you call it, they said, how you get spirit, say do something without expecting something back. And it's very simple, they say hello to somebody. Show that newcomer, make somebody a cup of coffee, show them where the bathroom. And if you don't feel like because I came in, if I did something for you, I wanted something back. They say, you say, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. I tell you right now, I'm batting about an 80, since I've been doing that, practicing that like that, you know what I mean? I'm batting 80 now, so I'm grateful for for this chapter that helped me to get me on the right road to spiritual development. So thank you so much, Shady. You're doing an outstanding job. I definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. I love that you're sharing. Thank you so much. Do I have any more? I don't know why, Billy, but you're in my square next. Did you have your hand up? I saw the face. Oh, eating. Okay. Hang on. Somebody save me from the awkward silence. I see. All right, Terry B. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Terry and I'm a grateful alcoholic. Always glad to help out. This is a good subject for me. I came to adulthood in the late 70s. Well, I shouldn't say grow up because I didn't really grow up, but lived through the 80s and 90s, and it was all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And going to church was okay. I mean, I went to church every week with my family, and a lot of my friends did, but it wasn't something we ever talked about on our own time. And I was convinced to a fault that somehow I did something to make God mad at me, and I was being punished my whole life. Only to come to this program and find out my punishment was self-inflicted. Put it musically, I was living life in the fast lane on a highway to hell. And there's also a stairway to heaven. And it took me a while to realize, wow, there's a highway to hell, a stairway to heaven. And this program has steps, just like a stairway. And being in this program didn't punch my ticket into heaven, but I have a lot better chance now than I did have. And I pray and I meditate. I was really mad at somebody in AA one time. Really mad. When they shared, I had to get up and leave the room on Zoom. And I told my sponsor about it, and they said, pray about it, or pray for it. I said, you're crazy. Why would I pray for them? They're the problem. My sponsor said, well, give it a shot. Pray for them for, I don't remember what they said, 2 or 3 weeks, every night. So I did, and it worked. My resentment went away. I made an amends to them. And life is a lot better reaping the rewards of sobriety in a relationship with my higher power than feeling like I was being punished 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I looked at life as a sentence that hopefully the executioner would come soon and let me out of it. And I look forward to waking up every day. Every day's a gift. And That's really about all I have. Thanks for letting me share. God bless everybody.
Thank you, Terry. All right, where are we at? We got 12 more minutes. Anybody interested? Come in, come in. Oh, Sheila! See you, baby. Hi, Sheila, alcoholic. It's good to be here. I've been moving. James been helping, help me, and it's been about 3-week move. So just now I was tuned in 100% to you guys, though, and yeah, this is my favorite. There's 2 parts in the book that saved my life. One of them was on page 55, and I paraphrase, but we're all born with that fundamental idea of God within us. And for me, it was just life that knocked it down, but it was always there. I would have moments, even when I was drinking from the age of 15 to 62, and the end is at the end, the blackout drinking. I don't want to get into any of that, but I had completely stopped my conscious contact, and I had a lot of it. I did try, but I could never fully be present, of course, because of the alcohol. And for me, when I came in at 62 into the rooms, my sponsor was very strong spiritually, and I latched onto her, and but I couldn't fully concede that I was powerless still. Took me like 8 months, and I just remember she let me go at one point. We couldn't get through a full, really honest. I wasn't being 100%, 100% giving into that. I was completely powerless, and I 100% surrendered. I was holding on with one little iota, and I just remember the 2 lines, that line on page 55, which gave me hope and faith, that it was always there, it must still be there. And then the line we read tonight, one day, 8 months in, I was dry, I was not drinking, I was going to meetings, everything like Bill Wilson talked about in his emotional sobriety letter. Couldn't figure out what was blocking me. I was just feeling so miserable, and I realized it was because I wasn't fully 100% giving in to God, that God was everything or nothing. And it was that simple for me that day. That was my amazing epiphany day. It was March. I came in June 2016. It took me till March to fall down, literally, proverbially, to my knees and say, God, you are infinite, I am finite. You are all, you are everything, and I fully give in to you. For me, everything is a step 3 issue all the time. That one line was what it saved my life that day. My sponsor took me back, got through the steps in September, and I have 200%. Well, I have a few 100%. I strive for 100%. For honesty, I strive. I try. I strive for 100% humility. I strive, but I have 100% faith, no matter what obstacles life throws at me. And there are and have been a lot. And like my sponsor always tells me, it's just the tip of the iceberg compared to other people. But yeah, that faith that I have, that 100% faith,
which allows me to have that 100% willingness, which allows me to have that 100% to work towards that 100% honesty. So my God is, it's funny because, I'll wrap it up with, I was moving and I'm going through all my journals and writing. I love to write. I write for, it's my passion. And I found a memoir I had written in 2001 at the height of my alcoholism. And I was really surprised to see that I mentioned the kind of God in that essay. I was going to the University of Miami, and I was sober during classes and during my work on the essays. And I saw that God that's described in the book, that God of love, that God of learning to love from within. As I got sober, I began to love from within, not from without, not from the outside. And that allowed me to be guided by the beginnings of being guided by intuitive thought, and it's powered, and I'm striving for it. Intuitive thought powered, God speaking through the channels, powered by a quiet faith, which involves meditation and, conscientious prayer through the day, not just at night and in the morning. So those lines are why I'm here today, and the foundation for all the other steps, giving me the ability to know that I can hand my will and my life over to something greater than me. I can't just pass it and take it back. I do that sometimes, but I know to give it back, and let go. So, yeah, thank you. I love this. I love the book. It's my blueprint. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Sheila. And in my order, it shows Billy again. Okay. Thank you. Go, Billy, go.
This time it's real.
Okay.
I'm an alcoholic. My name is Billy. Oh, as a newcomer, I didn't know what I wanted to believe in or not believe in. I did not have any faith in the higher power I was raised with, because previously I had prayed for stuff and I got it, and it all turned to manure because I was praying for the wrong things. I didn't know that at the time. But once I was firmly making headway on my own recovery for like the 5th or 6th time, but this time I stopped picking up the drink. And I used to clean seasonal rentals. They weren't actually seasonal rentals, they were ski rentals, and people would be there for 3 to 5 days and destroy the place, and then we'd go in and clean it up, and you get real humble doing that. And we used to have lots of chats about God. What is God? What is not God? Blah, 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 blah. And Joellen used to say to me, God don't make no junk. And I could believe in that. I had learned to look in the mirror and say, yeah, you're not so bad. I guess you can stay. Because when I first was trying to stay sober, every time I looked in the mirror, I said, die, bleepity bleep bleep. But all of a sudden I said, okay, you're not so bad. And my life started changing for the better, and my prayers were for peace and happiness for other people 90% of the time. My higher power continues to evolve the longer I'm in. And that's okay too. Because when I was first getting sober, I just grabbed on the first thing that seemed solid, and what I've only come to understand in these years is that there is a God and I'm not it. And that's all I gotta know about God. Thanks.
Well said. If you could have a mic drop, that would be nice. Jamie, come on in.
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic. So glad everyone is here. If you're new to us, welcome, and I hope you will come back and join us again. Thank you to the service team. Shana and Terry, you did an excellent job on the test run of the new script, which we will be voting on in group conscience, because we can only change the script by a group conscience vote. And congratulations, Jim and Nancy. So grateful to be able to share your journey with you, and it is a joy and honor. You know, I say it all the time. I believe that the chapter to the Agnostic is the greatest piece of greatest piece of literature on the face of the earth. It's better than anything. And why? Because it gives me a pathway to let go of old ideas and old beliefs and open my heart and mind to new ideas and new beliefs. And I believe the way that it is written, why it is written the way that it is written, is just for that pathway. In the Greek, ag means without, Gnostic means knowledge. And while the Greeks had educational knowledge, they didn't have experiential knowledge. And of course, you know, Greeks have lots of gods and all that sort of thing, but not the idea of creator and supreme being, or whatever you want to refer to it as. Tonight's reading began with this. We found, too, that we had been worshippers. What a state of mental goose flesh that used to bring on. Had we not variously worshipped people, sentiment, things, money, and ourselves? And then, with a better motive, had we not worshipfully beheld a sunset, the sea, a flower? Who of us had not loved something or somebody? So we are still in step 2 in this chapter, coming to believe. It doesn't say I had to believe. It says I come to believe. And Billy just touched on something. You know, when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, what I believed in God then is much different than I have now, and it has continuously evolved and still continues to evolve to this day, which I find absolutely has a profound effect in my life. And you know how I know when I have stepped away? When I get agitated at everything. When I start thinking I know it all. When I have to, when I put myself back in charge. It's one thing to give guidance, because that's something that we have to do in this meeting, because we all have a part to play in it. For example, there's 7 of us co-hosted tonight, which is more than we've ever had co-hosted. But it's important, you know, that guidance and structure is given with love rather than demands. And that's how God is with me. God gives me guidance and structure without demands. The freedom and responsibility each one of us is given with the decision of step 3 to find a power greater than ourselves that will work for us is something everybody has. Your God doesn't have to look like the Pope, the Mormon bishop, the Baptist minister, the snake shaker, or anybody else's in this room. Just needs to be what it needs to be for the individual to find a pathway to peace, love, joy, and happiness. But you know, many of us in this room have somebody in life that we love. A spouse, a child, a parent. And I know a few of you who are parents, and I watch you with your children, and I watch you love and care and nurture those children. Why wouldn't God want to do the same with us? That's just what makes sense to me. I don't have to rationalize, I don't have to justify or anything else. I have a friend I've known for a couple of years now. And she claims to be an atheist, and then she says, well, there's thousands of gods. I just believe in one less than you do. And I smile and say, but I only believe in one. And she's entitled to that, right? She is entitled to that belief. But you know what happens every time that we are face to face with each other, and I ask her if I can pray for her? What I witness, what I personally witness, which builds my faith, is all of a sudden I see peace and serenity and calm come into her life in the middle of chaos and confusion and emotional pain. And I believe that she has come around to the idea, even though she may struggle with God, that it's pretty clear that I don't. And oftentimes when we come to Alcoholics Anonymous, what we do is we view somebody else's faith, and that's a beginning point. This chapter to the agnostic and the personal stories in the back of the book are the beginning of coming to believe. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. And what I have learned, folks, is it's not my resistance to God. I am not wrestling with God. What I'm doing is I am wrestling with self. I'm wrestling with my own pride and my ego, and but I have a right to be offended, and so on and so forth. And therein lies the problem, which means that when I'm feeling that, I have once again become the guy on page 61 and 62. The writer, the actor, the director, and I've decided that I'm in charge of everything. You know, my daily attitude today and my daily prayer is simply, I come to God with an open, grateful, thankful heart in the morning. I ask 3 questions. How can I serve you? How can I serve your children? And please show me the pathway. And I don't plan it out from there. But when people ask me how I am today, my answer has become this every morning. I am blessed beyond measure, and I am having a magnificent day on purpose. And when I live in that mindset, you know what happens? God reveals things to me throughout the day, puts circumstances in my life that challenge me, puts people in my life that help me grow. And then the result of that is that I am living a life that is filled with purpose. So that's about it. So everybody have a great night, and thank you all for being here and your participation. I love you all. Keep coming back. Keep inviting people, and come join us at our group Conscience. And even if you're not a home group member, you can certainly observe the way that we operate in this group. So thank you.
Yay. Yay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickles.
All right, is Terry, where's my co-partner, my co-pilot? There you are.
Here I am. Okay, it's time for the closing, gang, from page 164 of our big book. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order, but obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is a great pact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Okay, we'll close with a moment of silence and the Lord's Prayer. Shana, do you do that part that's usually separate, or do I continue?
I'm not sure. I do it?
You do it.
Yeah, you do
Shana.
it, I think.
I do it. All right.
Okay.
Let's take a moment of silence, or as silent as we can get, for those of us that are sick, both inside and outside of the rooms. Here's your moment. And then we'll close out with the Lord's Prayer. Who will take us from shame to, oh my gosh, thank you, Jacqueline. The way we do it in Lewisburg Primary Purpose is we hold our hands up. This is our virtual way. Jacqueline gave me the hand. Love it. This is how we would normally hold our hands in a brick and mortar, but since we're virtual, we do this. And now we will close out with the Lord's Prayer. Who will bring us from shame to grace if we let him? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Beautiful.